you guys are going to want to be looking at this blue column here. The dark blue means you're basically doing it or supposed to be doing it. The light blue means you're the secondary, you're a support on it. So for example, commemorate volunteers with small gifts or whatever. You guys are the support on that. You're not going to have to go and buy gifts and everything. Or this one here, evaluate candidates, taking desired skills and diversity into account. The select board liaison is working on that. The chair is working on that. And the new member is, of course, involved. So this is a guideline to all of the different functions of the committees. We broke it all down. There was a lot to it, and I don't want to take up a lot of time at this meeting. But if somebody has some questions, please send me an email and we'll talk offline about it. So let's start with our roundtable. As I said, we have almost 30 people, so we're going to try to end by 10. So everyone try to keep your update brief, 2 minutes or so. Carmen?
Yeah, I just have a question, Terry. Has the select board determined yet when the warrant will be opened and closed and when the pre-town meeting hearings will be for the special town meeting?
No, we are doing that on Monday night. Thank you for reminding me.
All right, thank you.
Okay, and the annual town meeting, I forgot to mention, is posted, the whole calendar is posted on the website. Okay, so we will start with Betsy.
Okay, I'm from the Concord Cultural Council. Everybody. I have just a couple things to report. We've had our first meeting of the year. The 20 and 21 grant cycles will be finalized after December 31st. And that's because a few of the, well, everyone actually was offered an alternative deadline because their program may not have happened during the last year because of COVID. So they will apply, they'll have until the end of the year to apply for reimbursement for last year. And we have begun the grant application process for this year. The deadline was October 15th. And we received 19 grant applications totaling a request for $15,900. We have 6,500 available from the Mass Cultural Council and 2,000 from the town of Concord, targeted for Concord individuals and organizations. So we have 8,500 to give out, which is a little bit more than, which is not quite up to what people want, but that's sort of part of the process. And we're meeting next week to begin divvying up our applications among the meetings, the meeting members. So it's going to be another great year.
Thank you, Betsy. Next, we will go to Cynthia Rainey.
So I think Sarah and I will speak together. Sarah, did you want to give a district-wide overview and then I can chime in with Concord specific items?
Sure. So as we reported, we have a new DEI subcommittee, and that subcommittee is looking into school committee training overall on diversity, equity, and inclusion. Hopefully, maybe partnering with some other school committees for budget reasons and efficiencies. Hopefully, we'll find something good in the next month or so. And let's see, we're meeting with Concord FinCom tomorrow night, and I think we're in a good place starting out this budget season, and I think we're having good dialogue so far. So that's great. And I just want to give a big shout out. We had a recognition last week for our student volunteers. And if you see our agenda, there's a whole list of what they've done and the number of hours. And I mean, talking to some friends in other states, other towns, a lot of schools lost their momentum on volunteer community service, and just a huge kudos to our kids for really, I mean, going above and beyond during the pandemic. I think that's all I have to report.
Great. So the additional item regarding Concord is the, we're a little behind in the Thoreau fire. So we did need to bring in some large modular units. So abutters or neighbors of the Thoreau school might notice us in the field. And then the one other addition is that we are working on discussing how we will allocate the pandemic money known as ESSER funds for the Concord Public Schools in the region. I think that's it.
Thank you. And I forgot to mention that at the February 3rd election, we will also be holding the election for our vacant school committee member. That's going to be voted by the select board this week, but I anticipate that's going to be done on the same day, February 3rd.
Great.
Okay, thank you. And we will go now to Rick Eifler.
Thank you. Concord Housing Authority. Let's see. So the good news is the little house we're trying to build on Commonwealth Avenue now has its major approvals in place. We have approval from Natural Resources just recently, and we have approval from the Zoning Board of Appeals for our small planned residential development to have 2 units on 1 lot. The issue with our project now is funding. Our current budget is, we're currently $240,000 above our funding. So we need to figure out how to close that gap with a combination of more funding and perhaps trying to get the project cost down. We're going to be looking into prefab construction, modular, see if that, although I'm told that doesn't hold out much hope for saving much money, we're going to try to look at it anyway. And we can maybe look at other ways of even developing the project, perhaps, if there's a more affordable way to do that. We're constrained, housing authority is constrained by public bidding procedures and prevailing wage rates and a lot of things that make the project difficult to build affordably. So there may be other ways to develop the property, or we have to raise more money, So that's it. We'll be discussing that project more at the November 8th meeting of all of the housing groups. So anybody who wants to learn more about what's going on with affordable housing from all of the affordable housing groups in Concord, there's a meeting November 8th at 7 p.m. I'm pretty sure. It should be advertised on our under housing authority as well as under some of the other housing groups. It should be a jointly advertised meeting. I have a question for Terry. I noticed that the town now has a DEI commission. I'm curious, is that commission completely filled or not?
No, but we have many applicants, which is really exciting.
Okay, because we were doing some outreach to, seemed appropriate that perhaps one of our tenants ought to be on that commission.
Right.
So we've been doing some outreach to try to get some interested in submitting an application. I don't know if we were successful or not, but we're trying.
I did talk to one person. I think we can take this offline, but yeah, I talked.
Yeah, no, I was just curious if it was filled yet. That's all.
We haven't voted yet, but we have maybe 20 people who've applied. It's really exciting. 50. So very good effort by you, by the league, by everyone for outreach. Okay, is there anyone else who needs to leave before 10 o'clock? Okay, let me write down those people. We have Melissa, Diane, Douglas, and Jack, and Jean, Okay. All right, Melissa Maxwell. You're on next.
Melissa for the Concord Ag Committee. Most folks are wrapping up their seasons. We've been focusing on distributing our new guide to Concord farms. It has a map of all the farms in town. And we've been putting it at all the farm stands and the visitor center. So just trying to piggyback on the outreach effort of Ag Day, so that folks know we're here. That's about it for us this time of year.
Okay, thank you
Can
very
I
much.
ask a question? Do we have a date for Ag Day next year?
No, that is on our agenda for November to solidify the date for Ag Day next year.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Jean, why don't you go ahead since you are already.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Terry. So the Commission on Disabilities has been very interested, very concerned about the bike traffic through Junction Village and the little park there, because it's used by lots and lots and lots of people. And I know Rick Follander, you're well aware of this issue too, that you know, as more and more bikes travel through there, it makes it a dangerous spot. So we're trying to work with the Green Thumbs and the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail folks and the Concord Bikes Group and the town to figure out ways to make things safe in that park area. We also, in conjunction with the Acton Commission on Disabilities, we're working on some planning for ways for people with disabilities who get taken to the hospital by ambulance to get home if they live alone and don't have other transportation. So that's a project that we're working on as well. Those are the two big things right now.
Thank you, Jean. And I'd like to comment and then call on Nat or Richard. Nat has offered that the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail Committee will convene all the stakeholders and start figuring out how to improve safety on a long-term basis at Junction Park. The select board on Monday night will be discussing that, and I hope voting to allow the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail to conduct these sessions. Nat, do you want to add anything?
Yes, thank you, Terry. A couple of things. Richard and I and a couple of other members of the committee, as private citizens, attended a site walk that included the Concord Advisory, West Concord Advisory, someone from Disabilities Commission. So we're, you know, we have feet on the ground and we're looking at it. When we've offered, the committee has offered to the select board to convene around this topic, with the intent being to come up with a long-term solution for the problems there. And informally during the walk, we talked with a number of people from Green Thumbs and other organizations. And so we hope the committee will give us a charge with a clear idea of the goals and timing and what our responsibility is. And we will take that up because we are very aware of all of the issues that relate to the park. Also aware that the bridge is going to be completed next year over Route 2, and that will change the traffic patterns. Should I just continue with the rest of our piece,
Yes.
Terry? Okay, thank
Yes.
you. The committee is asking the Concord Middle School Building Committee to come join us again to talk about a path from the rail trail up to the school. We sent a letter earlier this year and we'd like to kind of know where things are. So we're talking with them about that. The Route 2 bridge, the decking is complete. Some of you may know that the path is now paved from the ComAF parking lot to the bridge, but it is closed because it's a construction site. But we're very excited because it's paved and things are moving forward. And then finally, on the last half mile between Powder Mill Road and Sudbury line. The 75% plan is being worked by the state and by Marcia Rasmussen from the planning, from the land use and planning group. We are working closely with residents and abutters around that area with regard to fencing to protect sensitive land areas and keep people on the path. To that end, an application has been made to the Community Preservation Committee that we support to ensure that the fencing is there, and also to add some other items like benches and bike racks. So I think the last word I heard based on the Sudbury task force is that sometime in January, the 100% plan should be approved. I think the bids let out in June. So that's our report. Thank you.
Thank you. Richard Fellender, co-chair, do you have anything to add?
As usual, Nat did an exemplary job. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Richard.
Next, we will go to Diane Proctor and then Jack Clymer.
Thank you, Terry. The CPC has been meeting every other week. We've now met with 2/3 of our grant proposal folks, and we have one more additional meeting to meet with the last third. People are asking for a great deal of money, and I hope we have a great deal of money. We don't know what the final adjudication will be. We'll receive that from the state sometime in late October. Everyone is welcome to join those discussions. We will then, after we've interviewed each of the grant applicants, we will then have a chance to discuss those applications and give them some priority from our perspective. So that's what we're doing.
Thank you. Next is Jack Clymer and then Douglas Bacon.
Thanks very much, Terry. The Tax Relief Committee met for the first time this sort of fiscal year a week ago. And the focus of our discussion was on our annual appeal letter, which usually goes out and will go out this year again in early December. We're exploring and hope this year to circulate that letter to every property owner in town. In 2019, the committee raised about $125,000 for the Tax Relief Fund and the Hugh Cargill Trust, but that dropped to $85,000 last year, and we would have been far worse had it not been for a very generous $20,000 gift to those funds. We're going to also be in touch with the other town committees, just to give all of you some fair warning that to see if there's a way of putting something about the Tax Relief Fund and the Hugh Cargill Fund into some of your communications with people who are particularly interested in your committees. It's a very valuable asset for the town, particularly as our real estate taxes are increasing, food prices are going up, and so forth and so on. We talked about the inflation in real estate prices, which is having a significant effect on a lot of our fellow citizens. And we'll probably be taking a look during the year at potentially attempting to change the sort of the thresholds for getting relief from the Tax Relief Fund in particular. So more later on that, but keep your eyes peeled for our letter in early December. Thank you.
Thank you. Doug Bacon is next.
Thank you, Terry. Good morning. I'm speaking for this Concord Housing Development Corporation. Junction Village project continues with Grantham, the developer, proceeding with their wastewater treatment plan approval with the DEP and the open space design under the select board appointed task force. The latter effort submitted a CPC application and is continuing to refine the proposal. Also, the CHDC was included in the open space / housing proposal to purchase 2B Upland / 406 Old Marlborough Road, and is working with the town to explore that possibility, town staff. There's also a CPC proposal to purchase that land, and the team is looking to be part of that proposal as well.
Okay, thank you very much. Next, we will go to Chris Reynolds. Oh, Chris, do you have a question?
I do. Terry, thank you. I have a question of Doug. So on the Christopher Heights project, I understood a while back that they were having trouble getting financing. Has he gotten financing yet?
Doug, you're on.
I'm not sure. I don't know that. I'm sorry, I can't answer it right now.
Okay. Thank you.
That's a really good question. I will research that and get back to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that surprising because a lot of assisted living facilities had very significant financial problems during COVID. So I'm not surprised that the developer is having trouble getting financing, but that has big, it has timeframe implications for that project. So I'm interested in that. Thank you, Terry. Would you like me to do?
Yes, please.
Okay. So Finance Committee, the fall is a very busy time for us. So we're in the process of our discussions with the schools in the town about preliminary information in order to help develop guidelines for fiscal year 23 budget. So we've started our discussions and they're going well so far. And I want to give a shout out to the schools in the town, folks who have been helping us on these materials. We changed some of the information and we included some 5-year projections, which we think will be very helpful to the Finance Committee as well as the town in understanding spending over the next couple of years. So thank you for that. We're also very focused on the new middle school building cost estimates, which will be out in a few weeks. And we're going to be spending a bit of time understanding affordable housing funding and uses within the town. So we'd like to get ahead of that. So we've had a few sessions on that and we're looking to have a few more. And we have our new capital planning process that we have a public forum and a discussion with the select committee and the school committee on November 4th. So those are the things we have coming up.
Okay, very busy season for you guys. Next, we will go to our moderator, Carmen Reese, and then Jill Block.
Good morning, everyone. This is normally a pretty quiet time of year for me, but the one thing that we are working on is arrangements for special town meeting. Currently, we are looking at holding the meeting indoors at CCHS, but utilizing several spaces within the school to give us the ability to spread out so that we need not sit shoulder to shoulder. We are doing better than predictions on COVID infections, and we have a very high percentage vaccination rate within Concord. But anything can happen between now and January 20th. And we're going to try and leave ourselves lots of latitude to plan as we need to in order for everyone to participate in special town meeting safely and to feel that they're comfortable doing so. I will say that when we had the special town meeting to take up the high school project, we had 1,600 people come to special town meeting, and I'm anticipating a group that size as well. So there'll be a live feed on MMN of special town meeting, but there can't be any participation in the meeting remotely the way they can in these committee meetings that we have on Zoom. That is just not something we have authority under state law to do. So voting and participation in the meeting can only happen if a person is present in one of the spaces at the high school. So that's about it for me. Thank you.
Quite an event to plan. Thank you very much, Carmen. Jill Block.
Thank you, Terry. Good morning. I'm Jill Block from the Board of Health. Following up on Carmen's comments, we continue to monitor COVID very closely. As of October 6th, the seven-day reporting at that point was that there were 15 active cases in Concord, and they're really spread across all age groups at this point. Previously, we had seen a lot in high school age kids, but right now it's really across the board. And many of those are breakthrough infections among vaccinated people. But it looks like it's kind of a steady hum in the background. And I think that's how we're going to just function for a long time, hopefully. The other big thing that the Board of Health just did at our last meeting was at the request of Deborah Stark, who's building out her space into the old 5 and 10. She wanted to feature, she is planning on featuring large department of bulk goods. And she requested that the Board of Health issue a variance, which will allow, and we did approve this variance, this will allow the use of reusable containers for filling with bulk. So that means that you can bring in your own containers from home to fill them with your bulk grains and other bulk foods. This doesn't sound like a big deal, but it really was a big deal. It's the first variance to this food code that's been passed in the state. And as far as I can tell, the state food code is based on national food code. And I don't know of many other states that are allowing this as of yet, although it's actually pretty widespread in California. But anyway, it's a very big deal that we issued this variance. So when Deborah builds out her store, you will be able to bring in your own jars and containers, as well as purchase other ones that she'll be selling for that purpose. But this is actually in line with Concord's sustainability goals to reduce waste. And so we're very pleased that we actually were able to make this very small step. That's about it for the Board of Health. Sharon, you have a question?
Sharon, could I go next?
Sure.
I just want to build on, since Jill brought up Deborah's variance, that one of CSEC's activities was to support Deborah and send a letter to the Board of Health requesting that variance, which we're delighted that has been granted. Other things that the Sustainability and Energy Committee have done is we've received a draft design from a solar consultant for PV photovoltaic installation at the new middle school. We haven't had a chance to look at it yet, but we will be meeting later this week. We are planning a sustainability education program and for next spring before Earth Day. We'll be talking about that on our meeting tomorrow. And as well as a draft response report on the Envision Concord. We want to just let people know that we're aware that natural gas prices are likely to be higher this winter and that electric prices will probably go up as well, though less in Concord than in other jurisdictions because Concord Municipal Light Plant has a lot of long-term contracts, but just that is on the radar. We will be focusing a lot on residential heating and trying to get more electrification in town that will eventually help that, but it could be a little bit of a painful winter. And the last thing, probably many of you already know, we're very excited to have a new director of sustainability in the town. And that's it for CSEC.
And next we will go to Pat Nelson, and after that, Jeff Fassel.
Thank you, Terry. I'm here from the Concord Middle School Building Committee. And as you can see, we're keeping a lot of the other committees busy with our progress, and we really appreciate everybody's support and help as we move forward. It's been a really exciting time on the committee. The schematic designs are coming to completion. We'll be moving into design development after we get the estimates. We're planning for the January 20th special town meeting. We should have our first crack at the estimators on at our November 5th meeting. And we scheduled a couple of meetings for us to be able to hear what the estimators have to say so that we can start our value engineering and looking at what it is that we will need to do to try to keep within that budget of 100 million. The communications committee has been very active. This last couple of months, we have Facebook page things going. We have a new website. We're doing some social media, which I can't even comment on, but I know that they've been really busy reaching out to get as much information out to the community as possible before town meeting. So that's where we're at. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And Jeff Vassar, followed by Carlin Reed.
Thank you, Terry. Jeff Vassar with the Public Works Commission. We meet monthly, and I'm going to give a couple updates from our last meeting. One is a very popular event in town, Drop Off, Swap Off, was last weekend. As most of you may know, we now ask for pre-registration to have a little better control of people moving through the yard for that event. And that's open to 690 people. We had 690 register, and we had about 690 show up. We do allow some last minute entries because some people who pre-register actually, you know, something comes up and they can't attend, and we try to maximize who can be there. But everybody liked the way it ran very smoothly. And again, it's a great benefit to the community. Speaking of kind of solid waste and recycling, et cetera, our current waste curbside pickup program, our contract with a current provider expires next year. Many of you know we did a survey of residents to understand what their thoughts are about our curbside program. We had 650 responses to our survey, which was helpful and has helped giving us some information and guidance as we pull together the RFP that will be issued next year for the curbside program. If anybody's interested in the survey results, they haven't been posted online, but they are available if you want to go to our recording of our last Public Works Commission meeting. They were discussed at that particular time. The other major things are with the weather getting colder, we're wrapping up a couple of the roadway improvement projects. Because of COVID, basically the 2020 fiscal year funded roads and the 2021 roads were all worked on this year, and paving is wrapping up on those. Weather dependent. Some of them are supposed to be done already, but because of rain and other things, they had to get delayed. But we're trying to wrap those up as soon as possible. And the only other thing I'm sure is we're all doing is we're prepping for the Envision meeting in November and looking at what was discussed in the past so we can contribute to what has been done and what needs to be done and addressed moving forward.
Great, thank you, Jeff. And Carlin Reed is next.
Hi, Carlin Reed, Pig Access. So we've got a full committee nowadays. And just to let you know that this last meeting, we finalized our 21-22 goals, which we'll be posting on a website. We're going to be updating our webpage. Next meeting, November 4th, we're going to be reviewing a draft annual report for the town reports, which I think we're due from all committees by December 31, though I haven't heard the due date yet. Anyway, we're going to be looking at a draft of our report at the November meeting. Terry, do you know if a date has been set yet for those annual reports to the town?
I do not know that.
Okay, well, this is what we normally do during November, so that'll be part of our process. On the meeting after that, December 2nd, we're going to have our Comcast representative come and talk to us. So we're going to be starting off the franchise renewal process. And the last thing I had was actually a question for Carmen or for Terry. The warrant's going to be opening and then closing. Do we have anything else on the town warrant that's expected besides the middle school building committee and the school committee election? Anything else besides those two?
I know of nothing at this time.
Okay. All right. Thanks. That's it for me.
Okay, thank you.
Nor,
Let's,
nor do I, and I will say that I have expressed my hope that town departments and boards and committees wait to annual town meeting if they possibly can, so that we have as little time as possible spent in this special town meeting process, given that it must be indoors and we do still have a COVID problem.
I completely agree. And I'm very glad that we do not have, we have not officially opened the warrant yet, but we are expecting no articles, hoping for no other articles. So, okay, let us go now to Jessica.
Good morning, everybody. I just wanted to give you an update to say that the Celebrations Committee is currently trying to plan for the Veterans Day, which is actually Thursday, November 11th. So we're trying to get everybody on board with that and looking to work with the town of Concord for the tree lighting event. So hopefully we'll have those two things more solidified in the next few weeks. That's it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next is Mark Howell.
Morning. Thank you, Terry. So I'm the chair of the newly created Fiber Broadband Completion Task Force. The task force was created as a result of Article 41 at the last annual town meeting. The task force is intended to be temporary and advisory, and our goal is to quantify the gaps in the current CMLP provided broadband service and look at inhibitors to this subscription growth. We'll be working to recommend goals for coverage and growth. It's come out that there's a significant portion of the community, about 7%, that has no fiber to that, but that also represents about 20% of the addresses in town. And so we're trying to understand what CMLP's goals and programmatic responses should be to that. We're looking to integrate the broadband utility service planning into the long range and capital planning process so that we know when we may actually get to completion if that's a community goal. We've been meeting weekly on Thursday evenings at 6:30 since September. And if you have any input about how broadband is impacting a constituency that you work with, we'd like to hear about it. Feel free to reach out to me directly or come to one of our meetings. We typically meeting between 6:30 and 8 on Thursday evenings. I know that does conflict with the Finance Committee's Guidelines Committee subcommittee, but we'd still love to hear from you.
Okay, thank you, Mark.
You're welcome.
Melissa Saulfield is next.
Morning. Thank you, Terry. Yes, I represent the Historical Commission. There are continued efforts on the part of the commission members to amend the demolition delay bylaw. We'd like to strengthen the bylaw and use it as a more effective preservation tool for the town of Concord. And so we are hoping to have something for the warrant again in 2022. We've seen an increasing number of applications for demo permits, which are due primarily to changes in the bylaw that were adopted last year. And that was primarily the 50-year date change, which has led to more properties being subject to the bylaw. However, that doesn't mean we've issued, more demo permits will be issued. They still have to meet a very strict criteria. We are also engaging in conversations about how we can be more effective when a house is under an imposition of the delay, how we can work with the owner to seek alternatives to demolition. A sort of a prime example is 1075 Lowell Road, which some of you may know is a very famous house here in Concord, designed by Harry Little, the Brooks Stevens house. That's ongoing. Also, house marker applications, we receive those. That's something we routinely do. We are monitoring the work that's to be done on Route 2A Battle Road by the Mass Department of Transportation. That is an ongoing concern for us, and we hope to engage more folks in that. there are sometimes it comes before us to vote our support for a preservation restriction. One recently was for 99 Sudbury Road, which I know the select board also reviewed, and there was some concern about how to enforce this if a future homeowner does not comply, and that's a good question. So we would be monitoring that as well. The other thing I just would like to welcome, or I mean, not welcome, extend an invitation to anyone who would be interested. I'm been really concerned about reviving the historic issues, quote unquote, coffees or gatherings, so that more people who are concerned about preservation and historic properties here in Concord can come together and talk about them in a structured fashion. So the first of these revived issue gatherings will be next Thursday, October 28th at 8 o'clock. This will be a Zoom meeting. I have sent out about 85 emails to invite people, and I've been very pleased with the response so far. We will send out another reminder a few days before with that Zoom link. So I would encourage anyone who's interested, either let me know or let Heather Gill know, who's our staff support, without whom we could not do our job. I just have to put a plug in for Heather. Also, we do anticipate a vacancy, so I will be using the model that Terry, that you and the select board have provided to seek a qualified and fine candidate. That's it.
Thank you, Melissa. A lot of activity in your committee. Next person I see is Inardi, Mr. Inardi.
Yes, good morning, Terry. Natural Resources Commission, for the most part, the last few months have been fairly standard additions of decks, patios, etc. So fairly quiet at the NRC. We are also working on updating the NRC action items for Envision Concord, which I know is due in November. And that is about it for the moment.
Okay, thank you. And next we will go to Keith Bergman, followed by Mark Hanson.
Thanks, Terry. Keith Bergman, chair of the new Concord Municipal Affordable Housing Trust. We just had a couple of meetings. We meet again tomorrow. We're doing some basic organizational things right now. First off, we've been established as a 5-member committee. The bylaw that was passed a year ago says we can be 5 to 7. We currently have 4 sitting members, so if anyone's watching and is very interested in serving on the new Municipal Affordable Housing Trust, hope they'll make that interest known. Love to have more on board.
Actually, on that, Keith, we do have an applicant that I forwarded to Linda. So maybe we could talk offline, but there is an applicant.
Great. Thanks, Terry. Things that we're doing right away are taking up the approval and filing of trust documents so that we can actually be formally created as a trust. We're a town entity. We are commanded by the bylaw that was passed by the voters to develop policy goals and statements that are consistent with the town's adopted housing goals, and those would be subject to select board approval to serve as guidelines for the trust. So we're not going to be a rogue agency. We are very much going to be part of the pantheon of housing entities in Concord. In fact, we're reaching out to other groups, including those that will be at the Concord Housing Roundtable meeting on November 8th to get input from and to meet jointly with the other housing stakeholders in town, so that as we develop guidelines, there can be a common understanding of where do we fit in. We have the ability to act quickly when the need arises, assuming that we have funding. And so all of those pieces are coming together. We're on our agenda for tomorrow is to have an update on the status of the cumulative 1.5 million that's been passed the last 3 years. for affordable housing, to vote to support statewide legislation, which is being heard next week at the State House, which would help to fund local municipal affordable housing trusts. And just to see what housing issues are, where are we on 40B? Where are we with updating the housing production plan? Because that will be an important point to inform what we're about. So we're happy to be active and involved. And thanks very much.
Thank you. And we turn now to Mark Hanson, followed by Kristen Merganti.
Hi, Mark Hanson. I'm sort of standing in. We're reorganizing our pollinator health advisory committee. Initially, we mostly focused on the poison neonicotinoids that was persistent in the town. We're working to reduce that. I think we have several opportunities to do that. And we're going to have our first, we've recently fully fleshed out our committee to 7 members. And we're going to be meeting on November 4th at 7:00 p.m. And at that time, we will elect officers, and we will, prior to that, we're going to finalize our charge with the select board in the next few days.
You said you're going to finalize your charge?
Yeah, we've submitted last April. We did a draft charge. We're just
right.
going to I hope essentially rubber stamp that one that we've discussed with the select board last April. We just never quite finished it. There's a few minor spelling corrections. That's about it. The big difference in the charge over what we had before is that we're going beyond the issue of just neonicotinoids as a single pesticide, but looking at other persistent chemicals that are damaging to the environment. But even more so, we're focusing on developing healthy habitat for pollinators, especially to improve diversity. And we'll put more of that up on our website, which I hope you'll find interesting reading.
Okay, thank you. Kristen, and then Peter Nobili.
Kristen Morganti, Library Committee. We had our monthly meeting last night where we learned that the library expansion project is going very well in that it's on time and it's on budget. However, because of supply chain issues, there will be some delays in opening the spaces because of the lack of bookshelves. So the contractors have started doing renovation work on the original library building, and they've been able to do that with minimal impact to the staff and the patrons. Apparently, they've been doing a terrific job of accommodating the staff. And so the hope is that everything will be open fully by 2022 without the need to close the library's services at any point fully. I believe there is an open house for the public that is in the form of a Halloween party in the new space on the 29th. The other big news for the library is that the director search is still ongoing. The search committee that was made up of the volunteer groups and representatives from the town manager's office and HR interviewed a first round of candidates and then passed our shortlist on to Stephen Crane's office, and he's taking it from there. And he said yesterday to me that he's hoping to extend an offer to a new library director in the next few weeks.
Very good, thank you. Okay, Peter, and then Josh Galper.
Thanks, Terry. I have a report similar to Ed Nardi's. We've been processing applications at the HDC at a rate of 4 or 5 every couple of weeks with a few continuances. We're working on our Envision Concord comments, and we have a new member proposed for a vacancy. We'll have 2 more coming up in 2022. So that's really it for the moment.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Josh, and then Carol Ann Hannon.
Thanks, Terry. Hi, representing the White Pond Advisory Committee. We've had a pretty busy summer. We've released the White Pond Vision 2021. This was a pretty big piece of work with over 100 consultations of town residents, state and town officials, as well as public health and pond scientists. The vision pretty much talks about water quality, water testing, and people management. Following the vision, we've created a number of subcommittees to continue work on these specific areas And we've made some progress. For example, we're going to have a sewage night later this month at the White Pond Advisory Committee meeting, where we've gathered a lot of information, and Susan Rask from the Health Department will present, as well as a very important youth group, the White Pond Youth Conservation Group, that has self-formed in the neighborhoods, which is really pretty great. Last night, we presented to the Community Preservation Committee a request for continuing treatment of a technology that literally collects toxic algae blooms from White Pond. They've requested that we create some edits to our proposal, so we'll get that done. And we will continue work. There's some short-term things we can do, but there are some long-term things. And it's going to take some work still, important coordination with the town, the state, and local residents. Thanks very much.
Thank you. I know you've had a very busy summer. A lot of people at White Pond. Thank you very much. Carol Ann.
Hi, I'm Carol Ann Hannon. I'm chair of the Council on Aging Board. The Council on Aging had a COVID booster shot clinic this month. They plan another one at the end of the month. It's a Pfizer vaccine. When the Moderna vaccine becomes available, they'll have another booster clinic for that too. They had a flu shot clinic this month. 126 people showed up for that. And they have submitted a grant to Emerson Hospital to hire support group leaders focusing on mental health. And that's it.
Good, okay. I see Linda Escobedo is here. Linda, do you have any comments to add?
Thank you, Terry. I'll just comment that according to Liz Russ recently, that the Grantham builders for the new Christopher Heights development have finalized their funding, but need to resolve the work on the water treatment before any closing on the financing.
Okay, thank you. That's good news. And from the public, I see at least one person on Brooks Reed. Do you have any comments, Brooks?
Sorry, I got my mute off. Thank you for asking, but no comments. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody that I have skipped over? I apologize if I have. Has everybody, wow, it's only 9:55. We actually ended before 10. Are there any questions that anyone has before we adjourn? Maybe we, Diane.
Hi, Terry. I wonder if you could tell us the name of the new sustainability appointment for the town, the name of the person who's been hired. Does anyone know?
Do you have that?
I was just thinking, I don't know that I do.
Her name is Amanda Cohn.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Amanda
I was
Cohn.
just going to check my email.
Has she formally started already, Terry? Do you know?
No, I think she's just about to start.
Okay, thank you very much.
I know she starts.
I believe she's supposed to start on October 25th.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Linda.
And there are 2 meet and greets on the 28th and November 2nd at 55 Church Street to get to know her.
Great.
Fantastic.
All right, other questions?
Thank you.
Hi, you must be Diane's granddaughter. Or you have a question?
Hi.
Hi.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, does anyone else have a question? Okay, thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful day. And we'll see you at all those now. Oops, Sarah has another.
No, just saying goodbye.
Oh, okay. And we see everybody on November 6th for the workshop. And then our next meeting is whatever I said before, November 17th. Okay, great. Thank you. Have a great day.
You.